At 4:30, the wounded commenced to arrive. I shall never forget the shock when we saw the men arrive covered in blood, most of them with half their uniform shot or torn away. By night we had over 500 patients and only 3 nurses and 2 orderlies to cope with the work. The meals had to be got and the wounded were clamouring to be dressed. There was no pause in the admissions. They kept coming in 7 at a time. Soon all our beds were full and new ones were being brought in and put in every available corner. There was no pack store and the men had to put their kits under their beds, and most of the kits were covered and stiff with blood and were crawling with lice. I must have done 400 dressings, no pause for refreshments. These wounded men had been injured during the landing. We are all suffering from shock. The wounds are terrible. The boys are such bricks about it too. They tell terrible tales of the cruelty of the Turks. Some of the injuries will mean amputation of the limbs. Some of the light horse boys came along in their time off and lent a hand. 2 in particular gave up their whole days to making beds and helping me generally. They were invaluable. By this time we had really very ill cases. We could not nurse them. They were lying there in misery, and some so weak and miserable the tears were flowing. The flies swarmed over them, and the heat was suffocating, and we could not get enough food for them. I went to bed heartbroken. They have terrible cases in the main hospital. Legs and arms amputated. One man with his jaw and part of neck blown away. They have to nasal feed him. 2 head cases going to die. 2 spinal cases without a hope. Such numbers of the men have injured backs, and such lots of the cases have cerebral abscesses. A Lieutenant Matthews went mad with the horrors of it all. He jumped up shouting and immediately was killed by the Turks. It seems that Matthews had a friend, a major. A party of Turks dressed like Australian officers came up and asked if there was a colonel or major present, that he was wanted for some orders close by. This unsuspecting major went out and the Turks strangled him. They say that the dead from the first battle are still unburied.